Hi everyone, welcome to our very first Q&A in this year, 2024. And I am pleased to have Coach Daniel here. Unfortunately, Coach Chris, he excused himself. He couldn't make it today, but we are our favorite coach, Daniel. So, hi Daniel, how are you? What
Hi,
have you?
yeah. All is well on my end, Veronica. I'm glad to be here. It's always exciting to get a chance to, answer questions from the community.
Mhm. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, so while we wait for the new questions that are going to come, then we can, I don't know, we can talk a little bit about how was your holidays, how did you go somewhere, did you travel somewhere during Christmas or during the New Year's Eve? So how was it for you?
It was nice. Actually, my wife is she's from the Philippines originally, and her parents came to visit from the Philippines, and so they were here. And her sister, who also lives abroad, who lives in Australia, came here. So we had like a family reunion in our place. It was super nice. Hang out with them, and otherwise, we didn't go anywhere. We were hoping for snow because my kid's cousin has never seen snow, so we were like, hopefully there'll be snow, but well, we missed it. There wasn't any snow here, and also not in the nearby mountains either, so we were kind of bummed about that. There was no snow to show him, but maybe next time.
Yeah, that's a pity because I remember when I was little, there was snow all the time, every winter in Slovakia. But now it's really, really rare, and it's only mud
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
rains a lot, and it's all gloomy and depressive. The kids don't want to go outside to play because why? And yeah, so it's not very very inviting.
Yes.
And now let me ask you, how did you sleep when you had the guests in your house? I know you didn't never suffer from insomnia, but sometimes even people who don't suffer from insomnia, it might feel like a little bit awkward or uncomfortable when there are another people in their house. So how's it for you?
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, I slept fine. I think if anything, I sort of like retreated earlier to bed, because you love having guests. It's super nice, but it's also kind of a lot of input. So sometimes you're just like, okay, I think I need to excuse myself. So I think I went to bed earlier, but I had, I don't know, maybe it's so blurry, like when you don't think about it, it becomes very blurry. But there was definitely one night, yesterday or the day before, when I kind of woke up and I knew it was in the middle of the night. I felt very alert. Something was on my mind. I don't know what it was. I was probably up for a bit, but anyway, generally, yeah, it was fine.
Yes, perfect. And I'm talking about it. I was asking about it just because many people they ask, uh, how am I supposed to sleep when there are people in my house and maybe something has changed? And maybe this is a good time to talk about the teaching that we call the chain reaction. And this happens when when something has changed, something very normal, something very common, and consecutively we get anxious. Like, oh my goodness! For example, I need to be quiet in my house. I need to be have all my perfect conditions. And then all of a sudden, if we don't have these perfect conditions, then we think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to sleep. And this is very tricky because when we believe that there must be perfect conditions for sleep, of course we are not going to sleep. So when something has changed, an anxiety can show up. And when we don't understand this, where this anxiety comes from, why are we having it? This anxiety can grow and grow and grow, and we really usually spend we experience a sleepless night. But what is um, what is quite helpful is to understand why are we having it, what is the chain reaction, and that we don't need a perfect condition for sleep. I also have experienced, I also, for such a long time, I felt like I must have uh, blackout curtains, eye mask, uh, earbuds, and I believed that I had to. Oh, I was also obsessing about the light. I had to black out every LED diode in my room, despite I was wearing an eye mask, and everything was bothering me. I swear I could hear a pin drop in the next room. But thanks to the understanding, thanks to knowing that sleep always comes, no matter what. We could be the most hyperaroused, we could be the most worried, but it will never go forever. Sleep always wins. So, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think that just knowing about this change reaction is so helpful when, when there's some, change, like you have guests visiting, for example. But
Mhm.
just to sneak another example in there, where I use this teaching a lot, is when somebody has deliberately changed something in a way that they thought of as probably helpful. For example, somebody has been sleeping on the couch for a long time, but they really want to sleep in their bed, and they make this decision that, no, I'm going to change this. I'm going to go sleep where I want to sleep, which is in my bed, and then they have trouble sleeping because there was that change, right? And then that
Right?
person may think, oh no, I did something wrong, I shouldn't have changed anything. But no, it's not that. It's just that whenever something changes, there can be some disturbance, some turbulence after that. So, and if we go like, of course, there's some trouble sleeping now that I'm in my bed because I made this change, then we don't think much about it and things kind of fade out. So just want to add that one.
Yes, exactly. It will fade out as long as we don't add more pressure, and when we don't think in, when we, uh, very often we think negatively, like we shouldn't do it, it was wrong decision, just like you mentioned. But logically understand this was not a wrong decision. You want to sleep your bed. You were sleeping there before. So absolutely, it will even itself out when you just let things be.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we have already a few questions. We have heard Jennifer here, but I would like to show this comment, which is really nice. Thanks, Coach Daniel. Just got over my month-long insomnia battle just with your free content. Wonderful.
It's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Thanks for
And
sharing that, Mpro. Super glad to hear.
so here is Jennifer. Hi. And I'm 10 months into my insomnia journey. Into my journey with insomnia, and I'm slowly getting better, but sleep isn't the same still. And I always count my hours. Is this normal? Will sleep change forever? And should I accept this new journey as the new norm? Okay, there are very nice thoughts to talk about. Would you like to start?
Sure, absolutely. And firstly, again, saying, thanks for being here, Jennifer, and really glad that you have found things getting easier. Now, the first thing I want to kind of just briefly comment on was that Jennifer said, I'm slowly getting better, but sleep isn't the same still. It's still not the same. And, we often hear this question in a slightly different way, which is that, things have gotten easier for me, but I'm not sleeping like before. Like, why am I not sleeping like before? And whenever I hear that this question, I like to answer in a way that can be kind of like, it sounds like a riddle, but I think there's something there, which is, well, you weren't comparing your sleep to before, it sounds like a riddle, but it's really like when we're sleeping in a certain way and we're kind of comparing with the before, like, oh, before I used to sleep through the night, it was to be deeper, why isn't it like that now? Then just that act of like comparison makes us kind of like hyper aroused. We're paying attention, and that the comparing to before is why we're not sleeping like before, so just want to sneak that one in there. And then maybe one more content and one more comment is, I always count my hours. Is this normal? I'd say it is very normal. It is exceptionally normal, and it's not hard to see why, because our brain truly is this like survival machine. All it wants is for us to be safe, to us to be fine, to not be in any type of danger, right? And when we have this struggle with sleep, the way it attempts to have control is to kind of monitor and check hours, right? So it will be like, did I sleep still so many hours? Did I compare it to yesterday? How was this? Did I wake up this time? Like checking hours. So very, very normal. It's kind of exactly what the brain does when it wants to keep us safe. Now, so but then the question becomes like, how can we meet this? We can't really force our brain to stop looking for hours. Like if we try that, we're going to have even more trouble because it becomes this kind of internal conflict, right? So I think it becomes a matter of like understanding that yes, it is normal, and understanding this is just what a normal brain does when it wants to keep us safe. And then secondly, instead of trying to fight it or judge our brain for it, becoming sort of an observer, being like, when the brain goes like, you slept this many hours, then you can be like, okay, that's a suggestion. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, and just like kind of observe the brain, come up with these ideas, but sort of signal to it that I'm not really interested in it. It's like, okay, that happened. You have this idea, you have this guess of how much I slept. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Then we're automatically kind of we're kind of no longer in the struggle. We're kind of looking at it, learning from it. So those are some thoughts that came up that I thought could be helpful for Jennifer. But yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And maybe just one thing that could be helpful. How about ditching the clocks? Because when you're counting hours, probably you know when did you fall asleep, how many times did you wake up, at what time exactly, when did you get up, and all these kind of things. And this all contributes to counting the hours. And I have to say, for me, it was so helpful just to take away the clocks from my bedroom, because I remember at the very beginning of my insomnia, I the big clocks with the digital numbers, and it was just turning like it's, let's say, 1:23, and then 1:24, 1:25, 1:20. And I was all the time looking at the clock, and with every moment, every minute, I was just getting more and more anxious, more and more nervous, and of course I would not sleep. Of course, it was just impossible to fall asleep when I was so nervous and so attached to counting hours and attached to sleep that I have to sleep, I have to fall asleep. So really just starting with something so small like taking away the clocks. Of course, this could be uh, not easy step. It could there could be a little bit turbulence because of chain reaction, what we talked about before, but it's really helpful. And the one more thing I wanted to comment on is you mentioned there, is this your new normal? And is it the new norm? And we also talk about uh, people are so afraid that, oh my goodness, I'm, let's say, at this stage right now. And is it going to be forever? Uh, it's helpful to see it as a new normal, but not forever. New normal for now. Everything is transient, everything changes. The only uh, the only thing that is for sure is that it's impermanent. It's impermanent, you know what I mean, right? And if you can look at it, okay, I'm right now at this stage, and this is my new normal for now. This could be very helpful. And sooner or later, this will change. This can lift a little bit of a pressure that is like this kind of a worry that this is going to be forever, this sense of doom people are talking often about, right? So I hope we answered your questions, Jennifer. And yeah, Jennifer, saying for the free content, thank you too. Perfect. And yeah, so let's look on another comment. And uh, we have here, so blessed, Chelsea. Hi. I'm in the longest speed bump ever after having my daughter. I have been so up and down with my insomnia. And she also says, yes, I don't even look at clocks, and my husband thinks I'm a weirdo. Yeah, it's really very difficult when people don't understand our struggle, and we feel so lonely, and people may think we are weirdos, but believe me, if they would have to experience insomnia, they would just do exactly the same. They would behave in the very same way. So, okay. So let's talk about I'm in the longest speed run ever after my daughter. I have been so up and down with my insomnia. because it's about momsomnia, I can start. And so Chelsea, I totally can understand. I experienced insomnia before my pregnancies. I experienced it during my pregnancy and even after. And of course, this could be caused at the beginning by hormonal imbalance. And this is very normal. This happens very often. But you need to understand that important is the education, that sleep is a passive process, why insomnia happens, and very often it is about when the initial trigger already is gone, we still experience the sleep troubles. And this is the insomnia because we are adding the fear into the equation. And when we are so scared and afraid of not sleeping, of course we are not sleeping because our brain thinks there is a threat. So another thing that is unique for our moms is that we have a constant sleep disruption. Which is just our kids. Either we wake up for breastfeeding, or kids are sick and we have to sit by their beds, or the kids are just going back and forth from our beds. It's just all the time for several years. And I can have a good comparison. What is it to sleep like when we are afraid of sleep, when we are afraid of not sleeping, and when we are not? Because I have experienced with my firstborn that so he was not sleeping that bad at a certain period, but he would wake up like 3 4 times a night, which is just okay. But I wouldn't sleep because I had this anticipatory insomnia. I was just anxiously waiting for him to wake up, and I was so scared and worried, and I was all the time I was thinking about, oh my goodness, I can't sleep. I won't be able to function the next day. I won't be a good mom, and so on and so on. But later on, with my second son, I experienced that it's possible to not be afraid of not sleeping and still have this sleep disturbance. So uh, I recommend delve into the teachings. If you have any particular question, just you're welcome to share. To ask. And if you need more support, of course, you can look into our other options like bedtime or intimate immunity because sometimes it can take a really long time or a longer time than we could anticipate. And it's really helpful if we have someone to support us in this process. So I was talking a lot um, for a little bit, but I hope it was helpful a little bit. And do you have anything to add, Daniel?
Very little. Just that, of course, if we've had like this, at some point had this fear of not sleeping, which we call insomnia, the struggle from the fear of not sleeping, and it's kind of in the background, but we still have a little bit of that fear. And then you have a baby, and obviously you can have so much sleep disruption. So it's very easy to see how that fear can be kind of re-triggered. And I'm just saying that to again normalize that it's not strange, Chelsea, to hear this happening, but everything that Veronika said, it made so much sense. So hang in there, rooting for you.
Yeah, just a few comments from Chelsea. Yes, this is exactly what I'm going through. The anticipation anxiety is terrible. Yes, and the baby sleeps pretty good, but I'm struggling. So you're very welcome to lean into the teachings.
And
Okay.
also just super quickly, Veronika, like if you haven't, you've probably seen it, Chelsea, but if you haven't, then we have this Momsomnia playlist where you can hear your story, Veronika's story, full story, and some others that can be very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to do one more, one last?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And we have a question from iRoach. And my insomnia started in September with a medication discontinuation that, despite education, I believe has fundamentally damaged my brain. I hope for one good night to prove otherwise, but no luck. And have any advice on ways to convince myself that I'll come out of medical trouble? Would you like to start?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, to iRoach here, of course, sorry to hear this happening, but there's a lot even in these brief messages that I think we can learn so much from and that can be really, really helpful. So, firstly, it's I was saying, like, despite education, I do have this belief that the medication damaged my brain, and now that's keeping me from sleeping. Very, very common concern, very, very common belief. Just yesterday, actually, we reviewed this in like our coach class where we teach coaches in certification, and we looked at a vignette when somebody had smoked marijuana and thought that had damaged their brain, and what we talked about there was that the tricky thing is that the belief that our brain is damaged and we can't sleep can make it look like that's true. Like, we can be so worried about having lost the ability to sleep that it looks like we have lost the ability to sleep because that concern keeps us awake. So that's something just to ponder, keep in the back of the mind, I think. Now, the other thing was like, okay, I'm going to go back and look at the message here. I hope for one good night to prove otherwise, but no luck. This, of course, when you're in a stretch of like having like a really difficult time sleeping, you're hoping for that one night of just like sleeping well, right? That's of course so natural, so human. Anybody in that situation would do that. But when we think like, if I just have one night where I just disprove all these ideas I've had, and then I'm going to be home free, it's tricky because we have the kind of expectations of what that one night will do to us and what it will lead to, etc. So we have this very often a situation where somebody says, if I could just sleep one night, I'd be good. And then that happens. And what then follows is not actually, oh, I slept one night, all my troubles are over, now I sleep good forever. It becomes, I slept good one night, but can I string two in a row? Can I get two in a row now? And then that becomes the next challenge, and et cetera, right? So when we're trying to kind of use sleep as a way to convince ourselves that we're fine, it's also tricky. It's also part of the struggle, just like in Iroch's second message, where Iroch said, have any advice on ways to convince myself that I'll come out of med withdrawal? It's against, these what we want to see, this transformation from struggle to peace, is something that is, it's also kind of a passive process. It takes a little bit of time. It's a gentle journey of change. When we're trying to convince our brain of something, it's sort of like you have a friend with a different, like, let's say, political idea, because that's always like always tension there. And you say like, no, my political idea is better than yours. Then your friend is going to be like, no, my political idea is better than yours. No. And so when you try to convince a friend like that, they're just going to be even more entrenched. Like, it's the same thing inside us when we're like, hey, brain, understand, there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. The meds have not done anything. When we try to convince the brain, it becomes like even more like, oh no, you don't believe there's some trouble here. I have to convince you. Like, it becomes this internal struggle. So it's much more like, if we can gently reassure ourselves that, medications don't destroy our sleep system. That has never happened. Many people have had that concern, but it never happens. And we'll be okay if we sleep well tonight or not. Either way, we're safe. Something kind of like really gentle like that leads to that change we want to see happen, in a passive way, in a kind of automatic way, not by force, but by kind of gentle education. Something like that is what came to mind as I heard this. So yeah, back to you, Veronika.
Yeah, absolutely. You explained it really, really great. And I also remember myself, I'm pulling a lot from my own experience. And it's so relatable. I hope for one good night to prove otherwise, but no luck. I remember myself begging and crying, praying to God, like, my God, please give me just one night, one restful night. And the tricky thing is, the more you want it, the more elusive it becomes. So it's really about the acceptance and seeing where we are right now. Okay, right now I'm not sleeping. I'm in medication withdrawal, which may cause some sleep disturbance. It's normal, and really accepting, normalizing, and this is the starting point. One of the very first pieces of knowledge that I got here was that there is no way we are not sleeping. So even when we have really bad nights, there is still some micro sleeps happening, and our body takes the minimum amount of sleep that we need to function the next day. We don't feel great. We feel really down and awful, but a big part of it is the emotional fatigue, which we may talk about some other time. But I just really want you to understand, accept when you are, where are you right now in the insomnia journey, and from then you can move on. Not before that, not hoping for, not begging for, not crying for this one night. It's honestly, this is impossible. This is, you can, you can really find these little pieces of evidence that you are sleeping. Maybe you are sleeping with a partner in a room, or or that you fall asleep in an awkward place. And when a partner tells you, "Oh, you were snoring," or for example, "Oh, you catch yourself like dozing off," this is sleep that is already happening. And these are the tiny steps that you can start to build on. And from these tiny moments of these, when you these little tiny proofs that you are really sleeping, that this sleep process is happening, you can build bigger and bigger increments of sleep. So really, uh, uh, hoping for a whole night of sleep is a little bit too much right now, but it's not impossible in the future. Okay. So, if do you have anything to add, or we can wrap up?
No, no, it was super nice connecting with you, and thanks to everyone for being
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Thank you very much to everyone, and I'll just yeah, we have just a few nice comments, and yep. Here is like, hello Daniel, I've been following your channel for 3 years. I watched all your videos. I'm a fan of your work, brother. Really nice. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, very helpful. Okay, perfect. So there are really, really many nice comments. And you guys, if you'd like to, you can copy and paste the comment under this video. And if I get a chance, I will reply to you. So I really am sorry to leave you out right now, but our time is up. And I thank you very much, Daniel, for your time. And I'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Bye
wonderful.
bye.